I thought Jalen would not come to see me again. So I was surprised when he came again 2 days later and even brought lunch for me. Whenever I saw him, I would be reminded of what happened at home that day. Even though he did not do it intentionally, I lost the child because of him. Grandpa knows about this and has already taught me a lesson. I know you don't wish to see me or listen to me, Roxanne, but I still want to apologize. I'm truly sorry about the baby. I could not figure out why he kept coming over to say that. Shouldn't he be celebrating with Simone now that my baby was gone? Why must he come to the hospital to worsen my mood? He opened the lunchbox and brought out the food inside. I took a look at the food that he had probably gotten someone to prepare. There were mushroom soup, honey-glazed ribs, and fish. Unfortunately, none of them was my favorite. I often made honey-glazed ribs and grilled fish during our 3 years of marriage. Not because they were my favorites, but because they were his. As for the mushroom soup, I disliked morel mushrooms, but there were some in the soup. I want to make it up to you, Roxanne. Could you give me a chance to do that? He asked. Make up? How did he plan on making it up to me? Could he do that? Take it back. Spencer will bring me food in a bit. As soon as my words fell, Spencer pushed the door open and came in. You must be starving, Roxy, Spencer said. However, his face darkened as soon as he saw Jalen. What are you doing here? He snapped. He came over, moved the things Jalen had brought to the side, placed the food he had brought on the table, and opened them one by one. Guess what I brought you today? You can't eat greasy food since you just recovered. Cece specially prepared your favorite pumpkin risotto and ham and cheese omelet before going out. After saying that, he glanced at the food Jalen had brought and snorted. I'm impressed. Jalen, Roxy would find none of the things you brought acceptable to her taste. She doesn't like to eat honey-glazed ribs, fish, and morel mushrooms. You'd better take your things and get out right now. Otherwise, I'll beat you to the ground. Spencer had already beaten Jalen up outside the ward that day. I could hear it from inside the room, but I said nothing to stop it. After crying all day yesterday, I felt much better now. Spencer's words made Jalen embarrassed. The high and mighty Jalen was snubbed when delivering food to others for the first time. I wondered what he was thinking at the moment. I'll help you up to eat, Roxy. With that, Spencer came over and helped me up. I ate the food he brought me while ignoring Jalen. I had not had a good meal in the past 2 days. Surprisingly, with Jalen here today, my appetite was aroused and I ate half a bowl of risotto. Jalen had already left by the time I finished eating, but he returned the next day. Although none of the food he brought this time was anything I disliked, I still refused to eat it. Simone came to see me once on the 3rd day of my hospitalization. She pretended to apologize to me in front of others, claiming that my miscarriage was indirectly caused by her. She made excuses like blaming Jalen for caring so much about her that he shoved me away. I would be lying if I said that I was not upset by her words. After all, I had been carrying that child in my womb for over 2 months, and it was a part of me. I slapped her across the face and uttered 2 words. Get out! She covered her face and wanted to say something more, but Cecilia kicked her out. Simone, you little bitch. I'm leaving my words here today. Only one of us can remain in the entertainment industry. I'll fight you till the end. Just wait and see. I'll expose all your evil doings and rotten affairs little by little. I will destroy you, even if I have to bet on everything I have. I was glad to have a best friend like Cecilia. However, I kind of regretted merely slapping Simone. After 5 days in the hospital, I was discharged. The first thing I did after getting discharged was to call Jalen to go to the city hall and obtain our divorce certificate. I did not wish to wait for another day. After receiving my call, he picked me up from the hospital. Instead of taking me to the city hall, he sent me home, saying that he would let me rest for a few more days and that there was no hurry to get the certificate. If you're worried that Grandpa Andrew will blame you, I'll explain to him. I figured it must be Andrew who put pressure on him to prevent him from getting a divorce now. Spencer told me everything. After he beat up Jalen in the hospital that day, the latter went home and Andrew beat him with his walking cane several times. That was also the day I realized I would no longer feel sorry for him. 18. It's not because of Grandpa. What then? Because of guilt. I looked up to lock gazes with him and found that his deep eyes held a few more emotions that I had not seen before. I could not figure it out, and I did not want to either. At present, I just wanted to divorce him so that we could go our separate ways. At my insistence, He ultimately took me to the city hall. When I came out with the divorce certificate, I suddenly felt very relaxed. I had loved him for over a decade, but it ended in this way. Jalen, I wish you both happy. I raised the corners of my lips to form what I thought was a very sincere smile. However, deep down, I was wishing for his happiness alone. They did not deserve it. And especially her. 19 Due to being hospitalized, I missed recording a variety show with Simone. Cecilia mysteriously told me that she had taught Simone a lesson for me. I was curious as to how she did it, but she kept the suspense going by saying that I would find out when the show aired. On the day the show aired, Cecilia, Spencer, and I watched it at Spencer's house. Simone was embarrassed the entire time as Cecilia made full use of her sharp tongue. It was a show where cast members visited the countryside and lived in a big house with a yard for 2 days and 2 nights. Everyone worked in the fields and cooked meals together. Simone's persona was that she came from the countryside and could endure hardships. Also, she could never put on weight. However, she did not know how to plant wheat and peanuts or light a fire with firewood in the show, and her persona collapsed instantly. During mealtime, Cecilia told the cameraman to zoom in on Simone's face and dished out a large bowl of noodles for her to eat. She reasoned that the latter could never put on weight, and it was to advertise the noodles in her hometown. What was worse, when she got up the next day, Cecilia deliberately started a live stream for her fans early in the morning and accidentally filmed Simone applying minimal makeup. Cecilia's live stream was at 6:30. While the television crew started shooting at 7. How could someone who was applying makeup at 6:30 appear completely barefaced on screen at 7? The worst thing was that someone in the television crew asked about their relationship, and Simone said that she had never been in one. Cecilia immediately sneered and said bluntly, "I didn't mean to laugh at you, Miss Quigley. I just think everyone has a few rumored boyfriends. Maybe they haven't made it official yet, but my rumored boyfriends and I only have business relationships. Is the one you can bring home also just a rumored boyfriend, Miss Quigley?" Simone had scandals with people in the industry very early on. Later, she was photographed spending the night with Jalen. A few days ago, she even posted a tweet, which read, "You are finally mine." What a blatant slap in the face. Simone's expression turned gloomy at what she said. She hesitated for a long time before saying with an awkward chuckle, "That was just hanging out with friends. I didn't take anyone home. I had many friends with me that day." As soon as the show came out, it was followed by Simone's crumbled persona trending online. Everyone was criticizing Simone for being fake. They commented that her acting skills had been worsening even though she had studied abroad for so many years. Apart from the lack of acting skills, she also had no reputation. Some even went as far as to say that she might as well die abroad and never come back. Of course, there were Simone's fans who criticized Cecilia, but they were all rebuked by my and Cecilia's fans. There had been rumors about me and Simone being on bad terms since long ago, and everyone knew that Cecilia and I were good friends, so it only confirmed the rumor. In short, the end result was that Cecilia risked her reputation to teach Simone a lesson verbally for me, and let her first stop in her comeback end in failure. But this little blow is nothing to her. Once she and Jalen got married, she would not care about it at all. Although I had given up, I still felt sad when I thought of that. Jalen did not want my child, but he would treat Simone's child as a treasure in the future. There was a significant difference between children who were loved and those who were not. "Don't worry, they won't get married," Cecilia said solemnly as she held my hand. "Huh? What do you mean?" I looked at Cecilia in bewilderment. "You can't seriously think that what I said about messing with her was just criticizing her in a perfunctory way on the show?" Cecilia winked at me slyly. I still did not understand what she meant. Spencer tapped me on the head and said, "You're dumb. She has a game changer. Of course, that woman isn't simple." "What is it?" I was very curious and wondered what they had found behind my back. Instead of telling me, Cecilia asked, "When will you return to work?" "Next week. I'll start by shooting an advertisement and filming the show on Friday." The show was scheduled for their episode previously, but due to my health, the television crew temporarily postponed the episode for me. "Tell me now, what's the big show you're both planning?" "You'll know when the time comes." They both acted mysterious and refused to tell me,